And in this video, we're going to talk about the book, The 10X Rule by Mr. Uncle G. In this video, I'm going to give you a breakdown summary of the book, share with you the 5 most important lessons inside the book, and show you how you can apply each of the 5 lessons that are in this book into your life right now. This video is for one of 2 people only. The first person is for someone that's read the book and they just kind of want a quick recap of the book. The second is for those that want the information that's inside this book, but they might not want to necessarily take the time to read the whole book. A lot of times in some of these books that we have around us, sometimes you can get the most important lessons, the most powerful points summed up in a 5 to 10-ish minute video like this. Just because sometimes the authors, they'll take time to kind of explain and draw out a point, or they'll use different examples, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, but I'm kind of a nuts and bolts kind of guy. I'm like, all that stuff's great, but if you could take, if there's 30 pages about one idea, and you could just share that idea with me in like 1 or 2 sentences, then I could take that idea, apply it in my life, and I would start getting the same benefit as if I read the whole, the 30 pages. Because once you have the idea, you can apply it in your life. So that's why I like to do these book reviews, and that's what the point of this book review is now. That if you don't feel like reading the book, even though it's a great book, I highly recommend picking it up. But if you don't feel like reading the book, you can get the same principles and understand the most important parts of this book, so you can start applying it in your life now and start seeing the benefits of it. So with that said, let's go ahead and get right into it. So there are 5 lessons, 5 points of this book. And the first lesson, so point number 1 of the 10X Rule by Mr. Uncle G, is to figure out your goal. You got to figure out what you want in life. And this sounds kind of silly. We probably heard it a bunch from a gazillion people, but it's kind of important. If let's say there was a bow and arrow over there, and I was like, hey, go take that bow and arrow and shoot it. You're like, well, what do I shoot it at? I don't know, and it doesn't really matter. Just shoot it at something. Well, you kind of want to have a goal, because once you have a goal, you have a target, then you can point the bow and arrow, and then if you shoot it and it doesn't hit the target, you can adjust how far you pull it back. Maybe you need to upgrade your bow. Maybe we need to change around the target, whatever it is. So it's as silly as it sounds. I know we hear it all the time. I've been hearing it for about 12 years now. Number 1 is you got to figure out your goal. Figure out what you want, how much money you want to make, the weight you want to get to, where you want to grow your business. We got to figure out our goal. The second thing we need to do is, once we have our goal, what Grant Cardone says, which is why it's called the 10X Rule to begin with, is you want to multiply the amount of effort and the amount of time you think you're going to need to achieve that goal by 10x. And this is very important. Almost all people, they think that the amount of time and effort they need to achieve a goal is like this, but really it's this. I teach people how to make money, and one of the main things I probably see is that these people that are making money and starting businesses, they underestimate the amount of effort you need to take in order to achieve a goal. Like if you're going to start a business, if you've started a business before, you know that you run into a gazillion trillion more problems than you initially thought when you went out there to achieve the goal, right? There's all sorts of different issues and weird things that come up that you didn't expect to begin with. If you could apply this to the gym. When I read this book a handful of years ago, I used to go to the gym and I would run about a mile and a half on the treadmill. So I said, all right, I'm going to run 10 miles. Now, I didn't get the 10-mile mark, but I ran, I believe it was like 5 miles. So, what do you think? If I went to the gym, let's say 3-4 times a week, and instead of running 1 mile, I ran 5 miles, and I did that for 3 to 6 months, do you think I'd be a little bit healthier? My heart might be a little bit stronger at the end of the 6 months if I ran 5 miles every time I went to the gym than just 1 mile. So, that is the next part. The next lesson in the 10X Rule is that even if you take 10x effort and you allow the time to be 10x the amount of time, even if it doesn't take you 10x the amount of effort, let's say it only takes you 3 to 4x the amount of effort, well, you still hit your goal, and you hit it a lot sooner because you're taking more action. And to be honest with you, any person that I know that I've met or that I've studied that's hit a goal has kind of been obsessed, which is another one of Grant Cardone's books, but they've also taken 10 times the amount of action. Like, if you go watch documentaries of Arnold Schwarzenegger when he was working out, he's a big buff guy and he's like the bodybuilder guy, you can go pull him up on YouTube for free. He talks about he works out at the gym like 6-7 hours, something around there at the gym. If you listen to people and you study people that start businesses, what did Grant Cardone do? He called on a bunch of car lots. And he didn't just call on a couple of them, he called on a bunch of them. And they would hang up on him. And he'd call them back. And they'd hang up on him. And he'd call them back. And they'd hang up on him. And then he would just go show up to the car lot. So he was not only calling a lot more car lots than the average person was, he was getting told no a lot more, and his action level of persistence was like 10x the amount of the average person. You just go look at anyone that I know that started a business and really been successful in kind of a shorter period of time, they've always taken 10x the amount of effort. I got a buddy of mine, he wanted to get really good at meeting girls. He wanted to get a girlfriend because he didn't have a girlfriend and he wasn't getting any girlfriends, so he wanted to be able to meet and date girls. So it was like 2 or 3 years, he went out to the clubs like 5 times a week. Told me he approached like 20 girls every time he went out, and then he went out a couple times during the day and he approached girls as well. And just being in, 100, 150 different social interactions a week, he got fairly good at figuring out, he didn't even really want to be a player. He just kind of wanted to, get a girlfriend. But he got fairly good at figuring out, how do I communicate with people? What do I say to people to sound normal and have a normal conversation? And he did that, so he took a lot of effort, and he sustained that amount of effort over an extended period of time. This is very, 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 very important. And then the final lesson is there's the 4 degrees of action Grant Cardone talks about. There's 4 degrees of action people take. And action, the first time I heard this, it was from Chris Record. I think he said, you got to take action. And I said, what's this action taking thing you're talking about? I don't understand this taking action. So anything's right? If we clap our hands, this is an action. We stomp our feet. This is an action. Pick up the 10X rule book. By picking it up, that's an action. So an action is just something you do. And of course, this is important with the success space because a lot of times you got to take action. You want to go and read and get access to better information. But of course, you have to go out there and act on it. You got to go talk to the girls at the club or work out at the gym or make the phone calls or work on your business, whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. I'm just trying to throw some examples out there. So that's action. And Grant Cardone talks about in this book, and it's very powerful, those 4 different types of action. So what I would encourage you to do, and kind of what he suggests, is think about the things that you want in your life, and always be thinking about which of these 4 action steps are you on. Number 1 is no action. No action is where you don't do anything. So you need to work on your business, but instead of going through the program or making the calls or whatever it is you do to work on your business, you sit in front of the TV and you watch Netflix. So that's not that you're taking no action towards your business, but no action, 0 action, no action is a type of action. Now you're not going to get anywhere with that because it's no action, but it's still a type of action. The second type of action is where you retreat. This is where a lot of people kind of wind up. A lot of people, they'll be motivated, they want the success, they go out there, they start taking action for maybe a couple weeks or maybe a couple months. So they're making the phone calls, or they're talking to the girls, or they're lifting the weight at the gym, or they're going through the program, and they're, clicking the buttons on the computer, whatever it is, and they don't get the results that they want right away, because a lot of people don't understand that they're going to have to take 10 times the amount of action, and sometimes instead of them accomplishing their goal in 6 months, it might take them a few years to accomplish their goal. They start to get discouraged, so they're taking average action, and after a couple months, they don't get the result they want. They're kind of in pain. I don't have what I want, and then they start to retreat. They start to back off. They were making, let's say, 50 phone calls a day, but they start making 20. They start making 10. They start making excuses. They start looking for another business. And by taking less action, they're starting to retreat. They're starting to pull back. Their foot was on the gas and they were actually getting somewhere. They just didn't realize it yet. And they start to let their foot off the gas. A lot of times in business, you actually have to, this is not in the book, but this is just like a general Aaron Goldsten philosophy, or not philosophy because it's true. A lot of times before you are going to be successful, you have to take a step back. You might have to, we're going to talk about making money, you might have to spend money you don't have on a program, on a book, on a coach, all at the same time you're not making any money. Then you're going to be going through trial and error. You're going to be taking action and trying stuff out. It's not going to be working, and you're going to run into pain and learn lessons. It's only after you do that, and you do that for an extended period of time, and you run into a bunch of problems and you solve it, then and only then you eventually break through and you start to have success. Sometimes in order to build a magnificent skyscraper, actually, every time you want to build a magnificent skyscraper, you must first start by digging down. Because it's only once you dig down and you lay the foundation can something magnificent be resurrected on what you just built. Does that kind of make sense? So second is retreat. Number 3 is taking action. Now, it's not massive action, it's average action. So it's not, guy goes to the club, talks to 5 girls, and goes home. Person goes to the gym, and they lift weights for 15, 20 minutes, and then, okay, time to hit the sun. Person hops on the computer, they work on their business for a half an hour, and they say that's that. That's average action. You got to take massive amounts of action. Number 4 is massive amounts of action. That's where you're hitting it hard. And when you start taking massive amounts of action, you'll kind of know. In the beginning, you don't really know because you don't have any real reference experiences. But when you go from like making phone calls in your business for like 30 minutes a day to like fucking 6 hours a day, you feel the fucking difference. If you're working on your business and it's on the computer and you spend half an hour, 2 hours a day on your business, and all of a sudden you have a month where you grind it out and you average 8 hours a day on your business, you'll feel it. That's massive action. That's when things start clicking. Gravity is pulling us down. Gravity is always pulling us down. In order for a plane to take off, it needs a certain amount of momentum over an extended period of time in order for the plane that weighs a lot of weight to defy gravity. It's the same thing with success in business and a lot of other things. We need a massive amount of action consistently over a period of time in order for our business or what we want to really take off and us to get the things that we want in our life. So that's what I got for you guys. That is the summary of the 10X rule. Now, I'd like you to do 2 things. The first thing I'd like you to do is if you like this, feel free to let me know in the comments. I love knowing that the videos I make provide value to the people that are watching it. And the second thing is, if you like this book summary, I actually put together a present for you that you can get in the description. I've been in the money-making self-improvement business now for about 12 years. Well, I wasn't in the business of it. I was going through it to try to figure out what I can do to make some money. And what I did is I put a list in the description of my top 10 favorite business books and 2-minute summaries on each. So if you like this video right here, and you'd like to basically 10x this, and get access to my top 10 favorite business and money-making books, and 2-minute summaries on each, there is a link in the description. If you're on your cell phone, if you're on your computer, you can click the description, open it up, and you can get that free sheet. There's a free sheet, and not only is there a free sheet, I actually include a video like this where I explain each of my top 10 favorite business books, and then I give you 2-minute summaries on each, so you can take the most important principles, the most important topics, the most powerful, life-changing pieces of each book, and quickly have that knowledge in your brain so you can start applying it in your life now. So that's what I got for you guys. My name is Aaron Goldsten, and you have a fantastic day. Bye for now.